up a dive. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember right. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of the Paranormal Spectrum here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones, from Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. Welcome to the show, guys. We are live this morning. Thank you all for joining us. If you want to come out and hang out with the CAPS team or myself, here's where we're going to be. I am going to be this Monday at the Lodi Public Library in Lodi, Wisconsin, giving a presentation on cryptids. That's right, Cryptozoology 101, 5:30 in Lodi, Wisconsin. And then coming up July 12th, we are doing a screening of the Hairy Man of Dairyland documentary with the Wisconsin Bigfoot Group. If you want all the information, it is on the screen there in Campbellsport, Wisconsin, and then they are doing a Bigfoot expedition hike afterwards as well. That information can be found on the Wisconsin Bigfoot Group Facebook page or on wisconsincaps.com under the public events tab. Then, guys, I'm going to be at the Cedarburg Public Library July 17th. We are doing a CE5 skygazing event with Central Wisconsin CE5 and PBS Wisconsin on July 19th in Adams, Wisconsin. We are going to be at UFO Days in Elmwood, Wisconsin, July 26th, Silcon in Gaze, Illinois in September, the Van Meter Visitor Festival in September, and the Neenah Public Library doing a presentation on exploring the paranormal, as well as a paranormal investigation of the library. You don't want to miss that one. That's what we got coming up here the rest of this year, guys. So check that out. Again, public events page on wisconsincaps.com to get all the information on those awesome events. But with that being said, we are live today, and I want to welcome our guest to the show. All right, our guest today, guys, is Heidi Hollis. She is a pioneering voice in the paranormal field, best known as the first author to identify and name the phenomenon of shadow people and the Hat Man. She introduced these dark entities to the public in her groundbreaking book, The Secret War, which explores her personal experiences and links them to both positive and negative alien beings. Her follow-up work, The Hat Man, The True Story of Evil Encounters, has gained wide popularity, delving into the terrifying global reports of these dark figures, offering guidance on how to confront them. To make this knowledge more accessible, she has also created an illustrated guide, The Hat Man, a guide in comics on how to get rid of dark beings for all ages, aimed at helping readers of all ages protect themselves from these dark entities. She has also been featured on many other media outlets, including Coast to Coast AM, The Unexplained Files, and the Discovery Channel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Heidi Hollis.
Well, hey there. Long time no see.
It is. It's been a while, a couple months now, huh?
Yes, indeed. We are both in this wonderful state of Wisconsin, aren't we?
We are. That is true. I did not know that I had a fellow awesome researcher here in Wisconsin, so very excited about that.
Yes, you said Campbell Sport. That was like my stomping grounds, UFO days, Bill Benson. I mean, I was the person that put him on the map talking about him on Coast to Coast AM. So I was like giving them a holler out and getting people out there to check out the UFOs. I mean, this is where it all began. And as we were saying before you introduced me, this is where shadow people and Hat Man were discovered. A lot of people don't give any acknowledgement of that, but hey, it's not on any ghost tour. I'm like, I think it's a rather big deal.
Absolutely. Why don't we start with so the whole first book started on your personal experiences, right?
Yeah, it did. The Secret War book. Yep. I happened to spot one of these things following a friend of mine and while we were walking, and it confronted me. It was the head and shoulder shadow is what I call it. It's like this big 7 to 10 foot tall creature that, kind of looks like the shadow of a man whose head is directly connected to its shoulders. But it's rounded and glowing red eyes, slanted, and just a hulking dark mass that, honestly, I know it wanted to kill me, to be honest. Like it's strange to say that you could feel a shadow, but I felt it. And I knew it was angry that I spotted it. And I had to walk through this thing to get out of the room it was trapping me in. And that was the beginning for me. And I didn't know. I was raised in a haunted house here in Wisconsin, and I'd seen ghosts. I'd lived out in the country, and I'd seen UFOs, and I had no name for what it was I had just witnessed. And then to watch it morph into my life after I witnessed it, harassing my friend, and to see shadow spiders. I didn't see the connection, but indeed there's a contagion element to it. So, yeah.
Interesting. Shadow spiders. Tell me more about that.
Oh man,
spiders to begin with, and now we're adding an element on top of this here. So.
Yeah, oh man, it's like the worst thing to most people. And after I witnessed that large thing, I started having these very vivid nightmares of spiders on my ceiling that would drop onto my bed and shake me awake. And with every step, it would kind of move my blanket. And it's the weirdest thing to be having a nightmare, right? And you open your eyes and it's there. It's like, how are you seeing two-dimensionally, on a dream like that? Two different perspectives. I just, I had no idea what I was dealing with. I'd wake up looking for a shoe or a broom to kill it, because I just always figured if I kill it once really good, it's going to stop coming back. Is this the ghost of a spider? I don't know what I'm looking at. But sometimes I'd see thousands of little ones too, and it just covering me. And I did not get the connection between the two at all, only to move, and it shifted. It became like shadow clouds, shadow streaks. You think there's a bat in your place or something. It's like, what was that? I just didn't know. I had no idea. It became a nuisance. But while I was in college is when I wrote my book, The Secret War. That was essentially the book that launched off the whole phenomena around the world regarding shadow people and Hat Man. And what a crazy way to start your college life, writing your first book. But it was that urgent for me. And if you'd like, I could go into detail on how I learned there was a connection between the shadow people, Hat Man, and the alien phenomena.
Absolutely. Let's kind of slow down a little bit here, though.
There's a lot.
We get to the aliens. Yeah, there's a whole lot to unpack here. So your first encounter, the being wasn't necessarily coming towards you, or it was blocking you, but it was attacking your friend.
Well, we were walking in broad daylight to go visit her family member, and I saw something in my periphery, and I'm like, what am I seeing? It was ducking behind trees, going to a bush. I mean, we're walking through a park, and I'm like, I turned a few times and saw it straight on. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Reached our destinations, turned to come back, and it followed us all the way back. And by that time, I'm like, secure the door. And I'm like, look, I don't know what I just saw, but I saw this, and I drew the head and shoulder shadow looking thing. And my friend, I'm thinking she's going to laugh her brains out, and she looks at it. She goes, oh, not him again. Dad, look who's back. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me right now? Like, what this was? And yeah, it's been coming after me since I was a kid, and, just very casual, didn't want to talk about it. I went to go upstairs to go grab something. I was staying there at her family's home. It's broad daylight. I didn't turn the lights on or anything like that. Grab what I needed to, went to turn and leave that room. And here it was hulking over me. Oh, I still get chills. It was like 10 feet tall, and it was massive. And it's so weird to say your soul felt threatened. I felt threatened. And I don't even know how to describe what that feeling is like of such terror. I knew if I ran, it was going to get me. And I also knew if I swung at it, that it was going to get me somehow. And I felt like something just told me, Heidi, close your eyes, say a prayer, and slowly and methodically walk through this thing, because I was about to collapse, and I was slowly walk through it, got to the top of the stairs, and my legs were just jelly. I took a step down, and I just couldn't control myself. I just tumbled all the way down the stairs. My friend heard me, opens the door, and I just kind of roll out. I'm like, and I had no air. I'm just like, it's upstairs, and she's like, oh, I knew it was mad. It was mad. I'd seen it, and I spoke about it. And now I know that is a pattern of shadow people. They don't like to be spotted. Not those. Hat Man? Oh, yeah. But no, not shadow people. And soon after that is when I started having these very distinctive, very real nightmares of the shadow spiders.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So and this could have to do with the aliens, but what do you think? Let me ask you this first. The being that you saw initially wasn't a Hat Man. It was just a shadow entity?
That was shadow. Yes. And I know that there's confusion out there in regards to Hat Man, shadow people. They are different. I made the mistake when I introduced them to the world and calling him the Hat Man Shadow, because I have all these different categories. I try to tell people it's like naming your teddy bear at home. Nobody knows the name of your teddy bear. And I'm like, okay, so I call these shadow people, and this is what they look like. This is just shadow sphere. I saw shadow streaks, shadow clouds, shadow spiders, head and shoulder shadow, and the Hat Man shadow is what I called him. And now the thing for me at that time, I had not seen him myself. My college roommate did. And I just assumed it was another form that shadow people were taking. But he is not. He is the guy in charge of the other shadow beings, but he can Step into the shadow, step out of the shadows. He wears clothes. If it's wearing clothes, it's not a shadow being. The hooded ones, that's not a shadow being. Those are a different kind of being that are still under the control of Hat Man. And it gets a little confusing for people. But people are like, who are you to categorize? Well, I'm the lady that told you all about it. and I like to remind people too, again, this was not something I could go and talk to anybody about. Even that one friend that had it following her, she didn't want to talk about it. I had no means of research, to say I'm one of the top researchers. It didn't come from me, this information. It came by way of a non-human being that told me and my college roommate what these creatures were. And what they were doing, how to stop them, what this was all about. So when people come to me and say, hey, Heidi, did you know these are connected to aliens? From the beginning, yeah, because that's what I told you all from the beginning. I had a UFO group at the public library in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for over 15 years. So I didn't come at this as a paranormal investigator. I was into UFOs, even though I was raised in a haunted house. So it's a whole mixed bag.
Did you know this? Yeah, literally, I wrote the book on it, she says. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you have it.
All right. So now let's go into the alien thing. So you had another worldly being explain this to you. So tell us about that. What happened there?
Well, there's a little backstory to this, and it's interesting. So my college roommate was highly religious, Pentecostal. Don't talk to me about your demons. Was not into this topic. Okay. I, at the time, belonged to another UFO group. Actually, all the people were alien abductees except for me. I joined because I'd seen massive UFOs and UFOs that were responding to me. So I just didn't know what to do with that. I'm like, why are these UFOs showing up? So anyways, so I met with these folks. My college roommate was absolutely, like my other friends. We're not going to talk about this unless I can make fun of it. I'm in college, whatever. Then one day she's driving through downtown Milwaukee, went to a different college than I did. And she calls me in a panic. And she's like, Heidi, help me. I'm like, help you? What's wrong? It's just like something jumped on the hood of my car and shoved its head through the windshield and started talking to me. And I'm like, what? This is not jiving. So long story short, we meet up later on, go to Lake Michigan, sitting in my car, and she starts telling me about her experience. And she's like, look, it was like a gelatinous, sparkly see-through being that jumped on the hood of her car, and she said it had a real calming effect to it, so she didn't freak out. And I'm like, whoa. She's like, so I just automatically started asking it questions, and I'm like, who are you? And it told her, I'm here to introduce what's to come. And it's just a few other things were said, but then all of a sudden she goes, I need to meditate. She's in the midst of this big story. And I'm like, finally, one of my friends my age is into this. Let's talk. And she goes, I need to meditate. Meditate? You're sitting in my car. What? I didn't know she meditated. I'm like, want me to get out of the car? What is this? She closes her eyes for just a few moments. And I swear to you, she had a very thick Spanish accent with a speech impediment. Okay. And she closes her eyes just for a moment. And this voice comes out of her and says, hello, I've been waiting to speak to you for a very long time. Very reduced accent, different tone. I'm like, Samantha? Oh no, this is not Samantha. And I'm like, okay, who's talking? What is this? She pulling my leg all of a sudden. It was so odd. And this voice says, I am what you would call an alien being. Okay, where's your ship? And just to speed the story up a little bit, I'm like thinking, I'm so far pressed up against the door to hop out. Let me tell you, I'm like, what's going on? But I'd been in this UFO group and I'd seen people get hypnotically regressed who are starting to talk about their experiences and their alien abduction experience. And one of the beings would come through and start talking instead. So I've seen this before, and I just so happen to know two people that did this regularly. And it freaked them out just as much as what I'm witnessing here. My super religious Pentecostal friend, though, it was so odd. And so I'm like, okay, so where are you? And he says, I'm up in a ship. I said, well, can you show yourself? I'm calming myself down now. And it's like, well, we cannot come down as low as we used to because your governments can shoot us out of the sky now. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks, And then he offers out of nowhere, but I think I'm close enough to project an image of myself. And I said, you could do what? What? And before I could contest or anything, the car started humming. And this thing appeared right next to me in the car. And again, I'm pressing up against the door like, okay, I see you. And what formed was this small childlike being, fleshy pinkish color, small body, I don't know, 3 feet, and rounded features. And then it slowly faded out. And I'm like, okay, I believe you. I know you're real now, And I'm like, what's the deal? What gives? And it was one of those things where it's like, pinch yourself, And my friend comes back around, there's so much that was said. And I'm like, she goes, what was that? What was that? I said, you tell me, what was that? And I said, the thing showed up. And it's funny. It was just a few years ago that I realized, this thing looked like a child, but it had large eyes. And I'm like, cherub angels, they look like children. And that's exactly what this creature kind of looked like. And so and in telling more of the story, you'll see the relation to it too. So we get back to our apartment. She doesn't like reading English. She started all of my UFO books. She wants to talk to all of my devil worshippers, she called them, from the UFO group. Those ones that do that thing, that channel, that weird stuff. She would never call it channeling. She would never, because she's religious. She's got God on her side. She doesn't know why this being was there. He just happened to show up when she meditated. I'm like, yeah, meditate in the weirdest time. What is that? And so anyways, she spoke to my friends and they're just trying to calm her down. And she's like, I don't understand. I'm like, well, did it feel evil? She's like, no. I said, okay, then it's not bad. So again, being college kids, we're like, you think you could do it again? Let's see what we can get out of this guy, because I know he's real now. And so we do this several times over a period of time. And, my first questions were lottery numbers. Give it to me, man. What, you made yourself available. I've got all the answers into the universe right here available. And that wasn't the case. In fact, most of the things that we asked, he would say, it would not benefit you to know that. If I told you where I'm from, you would not know where that is. If I said this, you would not understand it. And so we're just like, what's the point? You're blocking everything we're asking about. So it was highly confusing. And it took some time before I was just like done. I don't know what else to ask him. So I'm like, well, I had a weird dream the other night, and it was really real. It was like a mind-blowing one, where I saw in broad daylight, I saw the moon starting to come towards the planet, like it was going to destroy us. And all of a sudden, a huge UFO showed up and pulled the moon at such an angle, it didn't hit us. And so I'm sharing this dream, and this being says, well, I am not in charge of dreams. Okay, another blocked response. But then he goes, but I can tell you this. We saw the darkness in your planet pulling the moon towards the earth, and we didn't want to allow it to happen. So we steered the moon off. And I'm like, what? Darkness? What are we talking about? And he goes, you call them shadow people. We call them shadows. An answer. What? Hold on. And that began this whole, it was like we had to know the right question to ask. But I didn't ask. I was just shared this weird dream. And And the whole meaning behind why this being made himself available came forward on this ancient secret war that has been going on through the cosmos for eons. And I learned a whole lot. And it's like people think I made up rules and what these things are and how they're doing what they're doing and how to get rid of them. Had nothing to do with me. It had to do with this being. But then also, I remembered I got my memories back, recalling to agree to do this kind of work, not through hypnosis either. But it's been a whirlwind, and everything that he's told me has panned out to be true. People in the millions now know this story. They know these phenomena. It's a never-ending, constantly going viral situation. And the conversation, excuse me, was the connecting factor. There's a lot of different alien beings that are abusing people. I don't care what they call it these days. But I sat in these conversations for a couple of decades or more. People sleeping with guns and knives under their pillows, waiting to cut the throats of aliens. Okay. And I watched the conversation change to be like, oh, it's okay that they're violating me. I'm chosen. I'm special. And I'm like, hold on. You're the one that showed your gun off, that you're going to use next time they come. It was weird to watch this transformation, though the abuse was the same. And I used to initially think like them. I hadn't been abducted, that, well, perhaps they're making you forget so you don't have that trauma with you. But it didn't help, because the people in that UFO group were all formed from their psychiatrists, because they all had symptoms of PTSD and didn't know what from, because they didn't have any other abuse in their life, only to find it was aliens, So that's not pleasant. So anyways, I learned that praying mantis, the Greys, Nordics, any alien being that is abusing people, these beings come from these other planets or dimensions that got conquered by this dark force, these shadow beings, and essentially possessed them. So these are survivors of old wars, and you wonder what's that string that connects them and what they're doing to people. They're experimenting, they're violating, they're abusing them. Some are eating them. It's horrible. And you wonder, and I'm like, we got possessed aliens going on? What? If you think that they have souls, if you think of how these shadow beings and Hat Man seem to go after our souls, like that's the big focus, you see the connecting factor. And it's like, well, they described to me how this dark force, that we come from a light source, humans, people. They come from a dark source, and they take over, turn people or different beings against each other. And every time you listen to their dark suggestion, your enslavement goes up a level with them. So this is how it was explained to me. And we just happen to be the next planet in line to be taken over. And I was told that there would come a time where the infiltration of this dark force and the appearance of shadow people and Hat Man would be at such a level that it would be everywhere. And again, I had no idea. I go on Coast to Coast AM, and I'm in school, and I get thousands of emails the first night, and it has never stopped. The influx, and it's just been wild. Oh, sorry, 1 second. And know that was going to go off. but yeah, so.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we are live, guys. Just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions throughout the show, throw them in the comments section and we will get to them. So we are live. So the shadow entities are from a different planet? Like, did they or interdimensional? What are you saying exactly?
They are definitely interdimensional and not from here. So it's a combination. And I'd like to remind people, this was my challenge. Here I am, this young chick coming out into the world, like, shadow people are going to get you, and I was never invited to go speak anywhere or anything like that. It's like I was just putting the warning out. And I wrote this book and I started the journey and packing up my friends into the van and crossing the country, going to all these different events to grab the mic when it was open mic time, and to say exactly what these things are and to combine that they are connected to the alien phenomena, the haunting poltergeist phenomena, and the ancient battle between good and evil. It sounds like a fairy tale or something, but when you think about it, this has been spoken about for centuries. We have a lot of ancient text on this. And when you listen to the UFO congressional hearings, what are they talking about? Interdimensional beings, not extra dimensional. They were clear to correct people on that. So when somebody like me, who's just talking, just to be talking, in hopes that it sticks to people's minds about what it is I'm talking about, it initially, especially ghost hunters, were so hard to convince. Oh, you're just seeing the shadows of ghosts. I'm like, then you haven't met a shadow being, because when you meet one, you'll know it was never human. And slowly the people started, oh my goodness, what is this? Why is this happening now? And I'm that's what I've been talking about. You are going to see them now. And their time is short, so they're really acting up. So these are an interdimensional dark negative force that is in control of the more intrusive beings when it comes to the alien topic. It's not all love and light out there. This is what the Pentagon is worried about. This is why they don't want this out there. Part of it is they'll all go to prison for lying to us. But the other half is this is the great battle between good and evil. And I know this to be true for myself. And all I could do is, speak my truth and use my real name for talking on this stuff. A lot of people will step forward and you think that's their name, but it's not. And my dad tried to get me to not use my real name. I'm like, Dad, you had no sons. I'm going to abuse this last name to its fullest. So here I am. But it's real and it's a threat. It's not just a possibility it's going to come at you. It is a threat. And some of the things I was shown in regards to all of this too, the trapped souls, you'll hear in hauntings. I was told that you'll hear spirits say, he's coming. That's Hat Man that they're worried about, because he is organizing the trapping of these souls. And why are they doing it? Because they can. Why did, any explorer try to take over a land? They wanted the power. But there's also another agenda, because they're collecting souls. Why would they do that? And I think it's important for people to know too, that they write me saying, I just met the devil. I don't get into that religious thing, but what do I do? What? You just use a religious term for the devil. So if you can't find it within yourself to find this other force that could stand in the face of that negative thing, I don't know what to tell you. You would think that would pull people out of this denial that there is a God when you're seeing something that's his polar opposite, and you know it. You use the word. You know it, because that is the name. Hat Man will tell you who he is. He'll say he's the devil himself. So how does that make you feel knowing that? And it's connected to aliens and the paranormal and all of this, it's a big whirlwind of you better get yourself straight. That's what.
Okay. So when we talk about like the religious texts and stuff, are these the demons and that in these texts, is that referring to the shadow entities, do you believe?
It's one and the same. And when we're talking about these possessed minions, workers, these alien beings, again, it seems so silly. But how are they having these similar agendas? Why are shadow peoples and Hat Man seen right alongside of alien beings? They've even shape-shifted into these shadowy entities. So they mimic each other and the things that they do to people. They often come at night. They give you nightmares. They'd like to paralyze you. They like to see what how your psyche will respond to horrific scenes and scenarios and torture you and abuse you in every single way that you can imagine. And men, women, children, it doesn't matter. So they have similar MOs even. So it's not such a far stretch. And if I'm wrong, if I've been wrong, why would the government come and take me in the middle of the night to interrogate me about these things? Why would I have these types of things going on? If that was the case, why would I be approached by other 3-lettered type people? Am I wrong? I don't think so. And a lot of those, people in these different types of government places, they're humans. And when they looked into these things, a lot of them started getting what they call trickster activity, shadow people, Hat Man. and they were terrified. And they sought a lot of help spiritually and information-wise. And let me tell you, there's a lot of very, very religious people in high up positions in this field for a reason. They've got the full story. They know what this battle is. How come they're not sharing that with everybody? They're terrified. They have no control over it, though they're trying their best to have control. Unfortunately, it's not quite working. This is a personal battle as well as a very big battle.
Okay, so you've kind of mentioned a little bit like the hooded entities are a different thing. So are there, when you talk about the paranormal aspects of this, are there actual like shadows that are ghosts as well as the shadow entities that are these interdimensional beings? Or like what other phenomenon have people tied into this that isn't necessarily the same thing?
Well, people will say, I saw this little girl, but she was all in black. She was a shadow. Usually children ghosts, I don't believe. I think that's something dark usually that's mimicking. So you let your guard down and then it gets you, But a lot of people are like, not everything's a demon. Well, sometimes things are. And why is that they like to mimic babies? It lets your guard down. I mean, come on. Little girl voice telling you come to the basement. It's okay. No, it's not okay. Why is there a little girl ghost haunting the basement? My God wouldn't let that happen, But anyways, so sometimes people do see, though, spirits that might be kind of shadowed, though. And it's like they can feel that. They can feel that's not something that I need to be concerned about. The hooded, shadowy things that people will say, ooh, I saw a hooded shadow being. I'm like, how tall was it? 3 foot? And that was an alien. That was an alien being. Even if they have the glowing red eyes, that's an alien. But they're connected too. And then there's the Grim Reaper looking thing. That's a whole other demon, but he works under Hat Man as well. There's the old hag. There's the young hag. They have all been seen right alongside of Hat Man, showing, go here, do that. So it's not too difficult to say Hat Man is probably the only one that's part of this phenomena, like straight up. He wears clothes as well, can step out of the shadows with a 3-piece suit, trench coat, or a cape, or a top hat, or no hat. He likes to be noticed for who he is. Now, why is that? He likes to be recognized for who he is. But these other beings, there are the ones that are wearing clothes. That's not a shadow being. Hat Man, he's not a shadow being. So if it's wearing clothes, that's not a shadow being. The shadow beings literally can shapeshift and distort themselves in that way. But so everything's not a shadow being. When people have me come on shows, we're going to talk about shadow people. So tell us about Hat Man. I'm like, well, that's not shadow people. Mm-hmm. So, but I get it. I made that mistake. But I know better to not categorize him like that. It's amazing how quickly this whole phenomena has evolved to I had a UFO website before most people did, and it was always in the top 10 in the world because they used to give awards out for the top website. So UFO, the number 2, the letter U.com, it is still up, but not as big as it used to be. And I would get all these things about UFOs and questions, aliens. And then I put an image of the shadow people. 90% of my questions went to shadow people. I put up Hat Man. 99.9% of my email are about him now. It has just steadily progressed in that direction. And it's wild. When I put up, I have a Jesus book about Jesus encounters that I wish 90% of my conversation went there, but no, people are used to rejecting that. But give me that evil thing, So yeah.
That's really interesting. Like we watch all these like paranormal TV shows and stuff, and the Bigfoot shows and all that, and all these shows depict all this stuff in a very negative light, and people just eat it up. And it's really interesting because that's just what you said. You put out all these dark things and danger and warnings, and people flock to that. But you say, okay, here's what you need, and here's how to protect yourself, and nobody cares. Nobody wants it. They just want to live in that fear.
They do. And that's sad. So many people are recovering Christians. I'm like, what? What does that mean? It's not a time to be ashamed or limit your conversation to claim that you're Christian, because these things are just drooling at the mouth, hoping that you keep that up. It's a shame. I get it. The churches have done a lot of horrible things out there, but that's not where your faith is supposed to be. It's supposed to be with one God. That's it. And people need to reassess themselves, because if you're hardly regarding that you have a soul, and these things could see clearly what they want to get out of you, who's going to win? I mean, it's really sad out there. So it's really important. So many people are looking to the end times. End time prophecy is such a huge thing now. I'm like, why are you anticipating that? Should be a time of change, and that's how I see it. We're going to lose too many people if this is the end time. It's really sad, because I get it. It's so much easier to conjure up something evil to show up because it's eager for you than it is to say, Jesus, show up, So it's a real personal battle. And I was that person too. I'd seen UFOs, I'd seen angelic beings, I'd seen demonic. That was more real to me than that old history book I had to study called the Bible, So I'd stepped away from it. And it took for this alien being telling me about demons on this planet, asked me, why did I stop praying? And I'm like, what? Well, hold on. What did you just say? And then to say to me, God is real, and that's who we answer to. And I mean, I can't even tell you how the imploding feeling. I'm like, how would you know I stopped praying? And then said, Jesus is who he says he is. And that's who we work for. And I'm like, are you guys telling me that you're angels? And all he would say is, we've been called many things throughout time. And everything that this being taught myself and my college roommate was, you have to tell people they've got to stand up for their own souls. This is their battle. And to use Jesus' name in the face of these things. Now imagine that, something that looks kind of like an alien is telling me to look at these aliens that are coming in abducting people, shadow people, Hat Man, and calling on the name of Christ. And don't be ashamed about it either. And people are like, yeah, but I can't, I'm not good with that faith thing. I'm like, all Jesus said, you had to have faith the size of a mustard seed. It's so tiny, just that little bit, and you'll be okay. Just to say his name. I watch videos online and people are like, oh, there's a ghost. Oh, there goes a shadow person. Why is not the name of Jesus on your lips then? Scream it. That'd be the first thing out of my mouth. They listen, even these abducting aliens. Why would they listen and recognize that name if they are just aliens, So there's a bigger battle going on. Our government knows it. Our churches know it. I don't, sorry, it doesn't have a tail and horns, but it is of the same thing. And I'm telling you, when you're face to face with these things, you feel it. You feel it. And then I get that one rare knucklehead. Well, I didn't feel it. It must be my guardian angel. I'm like, oh, it's observing you right now. It'll get closer if you're going to allow your so-called dark shadowed guardian angel to stick around staring at you all the time. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Some people are just, I don't know why they try to encourage people to, no, leave those alone. Those aren't going to bother you. They are very patient. They're so patient. They'll study you for 40 years. Try to find your weaknesses. I don't care if it's causing illness, arguments, or whatever it is, discourse in your life. It's going to keep working on you. So it's time for people to stop being so hard on themselves about, I'm not good at that, just this faith thing, so I'm just going to drop it. We're flawed in everything. How are we suddenly going to be perfect in our faith? God knew we wouldn't be. So, it's time to just shake these rules we have in our heads off. So.
We are live, guys. If you have any questions or comments throughout the show, Kentucky, Tennessee, Bigfoot says, I am concerned many humans are not finding the truth, light, and God inside and are seeking it outside. We are the light in the world, and the dark is doing well at removing the light. Truth, not good.
So true.
So why are these things after souls? Like, what is the point of that? Like, is it food or energy, or what do they get out of this?
It's all of the above, to be honest. Like reptilians are known for eating people. It's horrible, but also abusing people horribly in every way. And they want the land. They want the power. Again, that sounds silly, sounds so basic, but this is what we've done. We start wars. Give me that. I want it. But when you think of this having a dark source, a place where they all accumulate like a power to absorb. They want to absorb this place, and they've done this to other places. It's important to realize what we're talking about here. And guess who they go after usually the most? That people think, oh, I played with that Ouija board when I was 10. That's why. It could be. But when it's a random thing, they go after the people who are gifted. And I mean musically, artistically. They go after people who have a different kind of insight or deja vus, being a sensitive, a psychic. They go after them because those are the first people that can spot them. And they don't want them sounding the alarm to say, hey, dude, what is that hanging on you over there? Mankind is evolving. And we're stepping into our own. You hear of, autistic children becoming psychic, and what is this thing going on? We're evolving, and they're trying to slow our roll. They're trying to keep us down so we do not become more aware of what's around us and things that we can do next. So it sounds odd. It sounds so crazy and so basic, but this is the first thing that they're looking for. So when it was shown to me, like when a craft UFO goes overhead, we all have like this tunnel of light that goes above our heads. So people die, they see a tunnel. So imagine there's like all these tunnels, and then there's a real bright one. And then they'll just zip down to it, funnel themselves down, and go straight to see who's that. And then they focus their energy on taking that one down. And I tell people, I'm like, I get people that write me, I've been terrorized for 30 years. I don't know what to do. They're coming every night. And I'm like, woo, who are you that they're putting so much energy on you? And I'm like, think about this. For one person, there could be a crowd of shadow people that have observed you for years. Who knows? And then they're like, okay, guys, he's sleeping now. All right, now let's get him and paralyze him. First they do the nightmares. Oh, I'm having a bad nightmare. Paralyzed. Okay. Now we're going to whisper in his ear. You can't move. Your God won't help you. It's a whole lot they put into you. And then it's like when people are like so terrified and they're like within an inch of their life and so much fear, they just wish they were dead. And that's when only when you kind of give up, they take their fist, Hat Man loves to do this, punch his fist through your chest, and try to yank it out, try to yank your soul out. So, but again, look at all that has to go in to take out one person. So they are stuck in the in-between, and they really want at us. They want this soul so bad, and they just can't have it. We are difficult to take down. We're emotional. We've got fighter spirit, and we can also call on a big higher power to take them out with one name. And I've had people, probably the coolest email that I got was somebody that was completely paralyzed, couldn't get out Jesus' name to get rid of them, but they could move their tongue and made the sign of the cross in the roof of their mouth, and they all disappeared. It was the intention. I've had people just think the name as well. And, I have Muslim and Jewish friends. They're like, but Heidi, I don't believe in Jesus. And I'm like, well, he believes in you, but use God, use the name of God. And that's worked for them to get rid of things. So, and I have a whole method of how to protect yourself free on my website. And I put it in like 3 of my books. But if you go to my help tab, I have it there on HeidiHollis.com, because, it's time. It's time. And it's time to stop being afraid to believe in God, to believe in Christ, to say you're a Christian. Everybody else in every other faith are darn proud to say what they are, but the rest of us are like, oh, I'm like, oh, don't be like that now, guys. This is not the time. You want to explore your faith, look a little bit, but don't dive in. I made that mistake. I really did. And I have another website called theotherfword.com on the topic of faith, because I had so many people writing me saying they don't get that stuff. I'm a cartoonist, and I make cartoony, type of books, just to get people to break that barrier and take a step into figuring it out.
So you kind of touched on this there, and I've heard a lot of stories of people who like kind of delve into different things. Like they've tried, tarot or different, whatever, paranormal experiments and stuff like that. And these things show up. And you kind of touched on, this is part of this too, is because they know that you're open to it.
Yeah.
Do you think that, we heard the stories of like all the Skinwalker Ranch people, all the government and stuff that went out there, and then they go home and they have what is called like the hitchhiker effect.
Yeah.
Now, do you associate that as now they've gone and opened up to this? Is this the same phenomenon that is now following them home, or is this something completely different?
It could be a combination, but because you're open to the possibilities, or you stepped in something and it kind of drug into your house. It's so common. It is so common, and it's like they see that you can see, or they see that you want to see. You're opening a portal to it, and it's important to, if you're going to put yourself in such a field, you have to protect yourself, or you're just asking for it. And it's sad. It's like, people think I'm a ghost hunter. I say, oh, Hat Man is just waiting for me to step in. Let me tell you, like, oh, please, Heidi, come look for me. I don't have troubles with him or shadow people. I sleep well at night. It's like, I just think it's, if you want to see miracles, if you want to see like the supernatural, which is a name the Catholics use a lot. I did not know that. I learned more recently. Look into the miracles, the angelic visitations, the Jesus encounters. I've had Jesus encounters, changed a lot for me. Big skeptic, let me tell you, big skeptic of such things. And it just, somebody told me when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I was so bombarded with shadow beings and interested only in the alien topic and not looking to Jesus, angels. Even though I'd seen angelic beings, I'd had some encounter. I still do these trips to this place I call the Crystal City. It looks like ancient Rome, ancient Greek buildings, but all in crystal, all in glass. I had bad seizures as a kid, and I would just go there. And, I learned a lot. And so look into the miracles, start praying, start writing poetry, whatever it is, open your mind to the possibility, because when you get rid of this darkness, they are blocking your view from the more positive beings. And when I got rid of the shadow beings, the whole world opened up of the Jesus encounters and all of this stuff. And I wasn't looking for it because I didn't know that was a possibility. I had no idea. But we need to focus more on the positive.
I don't know if this is a personal or professional question, but Heidi, are you still in touch with Jeffrey Gonzalez in Fresno? Christine would like to know.
No. No. I helped on his show, and I got a text for like 2 years, and I got a text message that said, "We don't want you to be part of the show anymore." Then I went to Coast to Coast. So great text message. There it is. But yeah, and by the way, I want people to know I am with Coast to Coast. I'm a news correspondent for them, and I have a podcast on their network called Dark Becomes Light. It is free. You guys go on the website, hit the Paranormal Podcast Network for Coast to Coast, and coasttocoastam.com. So, or you could go on anywhere that you listen to podcasts, it'll be there. And it's talking a lot about this, the secret war, the aliens, shadow people, and the whole thing. Because I get a lot of people asking questions, and I'm answering a lot of emails and having a lot of guests and speaking about this. So.
We are almost at the end of the show here. So if you have any more questions for Heidi, throw them in the comments section. I want to thank those that have been doing so as well. But Heidi, what have you got coming up? What do you have a new book out? What's been going on recently for you? Where can people find you? And
Well, I have a new podcast that'll be coming out soon. And I also have a new book that'll be coming out soon. And I want to invite people to reach out to me at Heidi Hollis on most social media. So put a 1 in front of my name. And, putting it on the map that Wisconsin is the finding place of shadow people in a hat, man. It's something that, being a lady in this field, I was telling you, we don't get recognized on a lot of things. And you would think being the first to do something that's major in a whole field, it would be spotted out. But we're going to make it be known, right, Barnaby? Because it's like, this is the place, that I'm sure people want that on their tour list for their ghost spots. But yeah, so people, if you got a question, write me, contact me. And yeah, keep an eye out for some big projects. My new book is, give it a few months. I honestly think it's bigger than my Shadow People Hat Man book, because it's touching on a subject that's taken me a long time to get comfortable with speaking on. So.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to that. And let me know. Let me know when it comes out. I'm sure I'll be following you as well. But I'd love to have you back and chat more and share about that. So
yeah, for sure.
We have your link to your link tree in the show notes for anybody, and I think that has pretty much all your links and every place that they can find you in there. So
yeah,
we have that for that. There's very few questions today. There's a lot of people listening, but not questions.
It scares them. I get it.
Yeah,
it scares them. Nobody wants to talk. It's a weird conversation, and it's all good, and I fill the conversation because I've got so much to say about it. There's so much going on, and I just hope and pray people get themselves together more than they're wishing for the end times.
I think that goes back to the whole we're drawn to the scary, the horror, the darkness. Everything's a demon kind of TV show world that's out there, and everyone kind of that's a whole show in itself. And truly,
but it's all good. We're gonna get this figured out. Oh, I see. There's a comment.
Yep. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, thank you, Heidi, for trying to teach people about the light, truth, and God. The darkness is popularized and trying to take over and overthrow the light. Yep.
Amen. Yeah, honestly, it's time, guys. We can't be shy. Not anymore. Not now. Too many souls are at risk. And ask any ghost hunter and hearing the spirits crying out for help. and scared of what's coming. He's coming. That's Hat Man, the guy claiming to be the devil. But Jesus encounters are up on the rise. So pay attention to that more, because it's changing a lot of lives out there.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this. And looks like at least a few of our people really enjoyed it as well.
Oh, so glad. So glad. It was great.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I will talk to you again soon, and let us know when your book comes out.
For sure. All right. Sounds good, Barnaby. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and liking and subscribing to all things here on the Untold Radio Network. Head on over to Heidi's link tree in the show notes and check out all of her books and her website, and of course, all of her shows on Coast to Coast AM. So that is what we got, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I want to remind everyone we are all part of the Paranormal Spectrum. Take care, be well, and I'll see you next week.